Hey guys, what's going on? It's your boy Cozy here, coming to you with another deck tech video for OP09 with my other favorite deck in the format right now, Mr. No Fun himself, Mr. People's Dreams Never Die, Mr. Zay himself, Marshall D. Teach, also known as Blackbeard. So in this particular deck tech, we are going to go over the 2Ks that we run in my list specifically. We then will go through each individual card that we have, talk about some potential matchup ideas and things that we want to do with this deck, and finish off on a high note with how you can be a member of this community. And so let's go ahead and take it away. All right, now let's go ahead and take a look at the deck tech options that we do have in this particular list. Starting with the 2Ks, you know you got to run him because he is just right there with Blackbeard, right on his side, well, technically under him. We are running 4 of the stronger 2K. It is also really good as a trash filler and cost reducer when you really do need it, with its activate main effect to trash 1 card from our hand and this character to give something -2 cost. So that is something that is going to be playable depending on your matchups, though he's not really in particular something that we want. You can pitch him to the leader effect. You can use him as a 2K, but if you're also really short on some potential knockout abilities, Stronger is a very good option in order to use as a 2K. We do run 4 Shiryu in this deck. His draw 2, trash 2 is really strong. Well, technically it's trash 2, draw 2, but it's really strong to filling up the trash. It does come out as a nice 5K swing. It is a good 2K body to search out with stage, and this is my era. So just overall, I think it's a really good card. Maybe cutting it down to 3 wouldn't be a bad idea, depending on what I want to really put into this for OP10. I do know Kuzan is definitely going to make the list, so I will be making some cuts from this original plan. But we'll see what I cut in our next OP10 Blackbeard review. And that's it for 2Ks. We only run 8 2Ks in this deck because we have such powerful abilities that our opponent really can't utilize too much because of our leader effect. And just, I like to live on the dangerous side of things and take the extra life because I am a 5 life leader, so we're going to live a little recklessly with just 8 2Ks in the deck. All right, now we're moving on to the main characters of our deck here, starting with our 1-drop, technically 2-drop Lafitte Searcher, who's going to allow us to look at the top 5 cards and really start fixing our hand for the late game as it comes with Marshall DT. He's also a really good pseudo blocker because people are going to swing into him in order to prevent us from searching the entire deck. This thing searches faster and more thoroughly than anything I've ever seen in this game happen before. So playing the Lafitte turn 1 is fine. Not going to do anything. On our 3 Dawn turn, if we're going second, we now have the ability to play things like a stage, then my era, then the 3rd Dawn to rest for Lafitte. So essentially we're searching 3, 6, 11 cards in the deck if the stars align. 5 with Lafitte, 3 with stage, 3 with era, looking at 11 of the 40 cards that we started with, technically 39 because we drew. So that's almost a third of the deck in just a single turn. That is absolutely insane to see that type of potential come from a searcher in this type of leader, because Black does not have a lot of that capability in my opinion. It's more of the control-y deck. This is still very control, but the ability to see everything you need in a relatively timely manner is absolutely remarkable to see in a deck like this. Moving on to our 2 cost, we do have 4 Dot Qs. He is one of our primary KO effect targets. He will KO a 1 cost or less on the board, so he's actually really good. He is also another pseudo blocker who will replace himself on KO. So we press the Dot Q, KO a 1 cost or less, and then they're going to swing into the Dot Q to prevent us from doing more minus cost shenanigans into getting rid of more bodies. So In that case, we're just going to draw a card off of the dock queue. We do also run 2 Vasco Shot in this list. I think this particular card is alright. I think it's good to have for fodder, or to just have something to search, or even just playing as a generic blocker, just in order to protect us for an additional turn and to make sure that we get our game plan online, which is coming up here rather shortly. We also do run 4 Laboon. We love the whale here. We love Laboon in this particular list. I think we do end up cutting him in OP10, honestly, just because there are going to be some other Blackbeard cards that are just really, really strong and fit into kind of a different image that I have for Blackbeard. I'm still playtesting some ideas out, so I don't really have anything in concrete detail yet, but we will find a way. So 4 Laboons, rest gives something -4 cost, so any 4 cost, 5 cost or less is insta-dying to dot Q on a 6 Dawn turn with Laboon on play. He's also a really good pseudo blocker because, same thing, they're going to want to get rid of the Laboon, they don't want to minus cost, and it's just wreaks havoc in this deck. The last 4 costs that we run is one of our main win conditions of the deck. 4 Jesus Burgess that we do run in this particular list. Make sure, there we go. So 4 Burgess on board. Burgess is just really, really good to have in the deck. We filter and we get rid of cards and we fill up our trash extremely fast. So Burgess is going to be super strong when he starts to swing. Depending on your particular matchups, like for me, when I'm playing into Nami, I save the Burgess' swings until I have him to be a 9k by himself, which is only 16 cards in trash. Well, if we're using leader effect, we're using my era, we're using stage, we're using things like the stronger. If we're doing all of these things, then our trash is going to get filled up really fast. We're going to be countering, we're going to be using the Vasco blockers. So we will eventually get there, and it's just really, really strong to see Burgess as one of our win conditions, to just swing really, really tall when we're ready to. Don't even swing with him early because they're just going to overpower him with the swings, and then we're going to have to give up cards in hand, which, I mean, inherently buffs him, but that takes tempo and pressure away from us to do what we really, really want to do, which is eventually take over the late game and really just systematically take our opponent down. So with these particular cards in mind, we are going to be moving to our mid to mid-late game characters. Going into our 5 drops, we have 4 Van Augers. He is just really, really good. He is going to give our characters a -3 cost when rested, and another pseudo blocker. That is the key word that is unofficial for this deck, is pseudo blocker. He will rest himself, give something -3, so a 4 cost or less is going to lose to a Van Auger .Q. We also can get rid of an 8 cost or less with Laboon, Van Auger .Q. So we do have a lot of combos in this particular deck that is going to save us a ton of time. And he replaces himself on KO, so he will draw a card for us, continuing to add more resources to our hand. I personally run 2 Jack in my list. I think Jack is just a really, really good card in this deck. He's just really strong. He will draw us a card, trash us a card to fill up our trash. He is also going to KO a 5 or 3 costs or less. So if we have Jack on board, Laboon Jack is going to KO a 7 costs or less by himself. If we have Laboon Van Auger Jack, we will KO anything on the board because 10 cost, Laboon will take it down to 6, Auger will take it down to 3, Jack will get rid of it for us. So we can definitely deal with the Shanks if need be, or any other large 10 drop body, if we see all the pieces that we need and the stars align, everything like that. And then the last character we run in this particular deck is the man, the myth, the legend himself. That's going to be 4 Marshall D. Teach 10 drop blocker. He is just going to absolutely wreak havoc when it comes to using his ability, negate your leader's effect, and then make sure something doesn't swing. So if your opponent only has 1 or 2 characters on board, the Teach is going to shut that down tremendously, because now they're going to have to overload on Dawn, have a rusher, have something to invest in, because one of their swings is essentially gone. That 12,000 power Shanks isn't going to swing. So now they're going to have to invest on in other things, or have a rusher on board in order to put more pressure on our life. And allowing us to use the Teach blocker is really going to help us out tremendously as well. And so that is what our character build is looking like. Now we're going to move on to events and non-character cards. Starting with one main searcher, I do run 3 Fuloled in mine. I thought about running 4. I tried 4 out. I feel like you see it too often, and I can just replace it with something that's a little bit more important, like, an extra 1K or an extra 2K. You could technically get away with running 2 of the Fuloleds and still be fine, but for me, it's more of a comfort thing. I do want to see the Fuloled at least once in my game, so I do run 3 for that added protection, and it's a good card to fodder for, searching down your deck a little bit more to get to your more key pieces, as well as filling up the trash with leader ability. The other searcher that we do run is 4 copies of My Era Begins. I think of it just like the Spandom searcher. It's going to look at the top 3. You're going to grab a Blackbeard Pirate, and you're going to trash the rest. So including My Era, you're putting 3 cards in trash for 1 Dawn. Minimum 3. You could whiff, and you put all 4 cards in trash, and that buffs the Jesus up by 1K. So for 1 Dawn, we gave Jesus a plus 1,000 permanent bonus, which is still a win-win. Sucks we whiffed, but it is what it is. Me personally, I like to run 3 Black Hole. It is very good to see a 4 cost or less get KO'd, but it also removes things like the negate effects. So Shirahoshi blocker in a Nell. Nope. We're going to get rid of that thing now, just so that way I don't have to deal with it later. And then, of course, the last card we run is 4 copies of Finger Pistol. It is always great to have the Finger Pistol either in life or just to have it in our hand ready to go, because we can get rid of a pesky 5-cost character and fill our trash even more. So for 4 Dawn, we can get rid of an 8-cost if we have Laboon on board, a 7-cost if we have Van Augur, a 7-cost if we have Stronger, and we can get rid of the Stronger. So there are a lot of opportunities to really use Finger Pistol, and it will get rid of a 5-cost just by itself. Even if it's off of life, we're going to get rid of something like Purple Luffy. Getting rid of the Sangoro on a swing is fine. Getting rid of the Zoro that has a 6K as a 4-cost, we can get rid of it. Finding a way to reduce down the Luffy Taro on our turn is going to be relatively easy in this deck, and we can get rid of bodies that way. I feel like this deck is a menace to society, and I'm just super excited to have this deck in my hands and just to play it out, play test with it. I don't really run Teach a lot, only because this is a very hard deck to master and to pilot effectively and efficiently. However, if you can and will learn all of your matchups in your local scene, and you know what each deck and relatively what characters they generally run, this deck is just a havoc to them, and you're going to see a lot more victories in your locals, and more importantly, you're going to see a lot more winner cards show up in your personal collection. So if you like this video, let me know by, of course, hitting the thumbs up on it, subscribing to the channel. Let me know what your thoughts are on Blackbeard. Do you love him? Do you hate him? Are there other deck ideas that you are thinking about running? Just let me know down in the comments below as well. I'm going to respond to every comment that I do have on this particular video, and all my videos really, because I want to build up a great community, and I want to see you guys more often this year in 2025. 2025 is going to be the Cozy Corner's #1 year by far to date, and I will catch you guys in the next upload. Peace and love, y'all.